And we are live. And I really hate that I just said that, but I did. And those of you that are that watch my streams at least on a regular basis know I say it, so fuck it. I'm gonna do it. I got the one-time hammer with me today. And it's a reasonable MGTOW, but I'm pretty sure he can explain himself well enough, so he can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, reasonable MGTOW. A lot of people have some misconceptions about MGTOW, and I'm a little less on the fringe, a little bit more on the conservative side. My view on MGTOW is mostly legal more than anything else. I try not to get too much into, well, you're just too ugly to have a girlfriend, or all that kind of crazy talk that you get from a lot of people whose main source of what MGTOW is all about is YouTube videos, and that's the wrong way to go. So I try to talk logical to people, make them understand that it's more of a legal aspect than anything else, and get them to see a side that they probably haven't seen from somebody who is MGTOW.
I mean, to be fair, like I'm not a MGTOW in any way, shape, or form, but I'm also well aware of the fact that my personality type doesn't really make well for personal relationships. Like I can never. I've had relationships in the past, and all of them have ended in some way, shape, or form, have ended in a bad way. I mean, I think I have two girlfriends, ex-girlfriends that I actually still communicate with and get along with all right. But well, long story short, one ex has stabbed me, another ex has threatened to cook my dog and feed it to me. So
Nice.
I've seen the crazies.
Yeah, so it
But
sounds like it.
as far as you go with the MGTOW side of it, I watched your majority of your stream with Ray, and a majority of what you say is like there's no way to refute it because you're right. All the arguments that you have that are based off of numbers, the numbers are accurate and they are valid. So I can't, even if I wanted to, I couldn't argue with you. But I can bring up a point that when you call yourself a reasonable MGTOW, and you say that you are more the legality side of it, you are obviously aware that there are certain members of the movement as a whole that some would say are a little more extreme, if you catch my meaning.
There certainly are, but I'm going to jump in here real quick because a lot of people make the mistake that you just made. They call MGTOW a movement. And from my perspective, it's not a movement, because there's things about the terminology that you have to be careful with. A movement is something that moves and then stops moving. That makes it a movement. This is not going to stop. And it is not a revolution. A revolution is something that continues unended. I don't see that happening either. There will become at some point an equilibrium where MGTOW is probably not going to be necessary anymore. That's my hope. But calling it a movement or a revolution or any of those kind of terms is really outside the box. It's very important to be specific when you mention how things. I use this all the time on Twitter. There was a movie called The Incredibles. It was a cartoon, pretty popular. And there's a scene where the main guy in the movie, Mr. Incredible, is talking with his boss. Boss, a puny little guy, and his boss has all the power because he can fire him. And you can tell that this boss is like really anal, crazy. He like has his pencils all in a row on his desk and all that kind of stuff. But he says a phrase that I use all the time on Twitter. Bob makes a general statement, and the boss stops him and says, "That's not what I meant, Bob. Be specific." And I use that in Twitter all the time. I say, "Be specific, Bob." I use that like almost like a tagline in all my tweets. I consider MGTOW a philosophy, a set of rules to live by. We don't. MGTOW does not have a presence. There's no organization. There's no membership. There's no political agenda. None of that. This is not feminism. This is not MRAs. That's all over there on that side. MGTOW is separate. It's over here by itself. It's the whole point of the deal here is that men going their own way. We go our own way in all ways, not just when it comes to women, but if MRAs want to fight the good fight and try to get us some of the things back that we've lost in the legal system, that's great. I hope they succeed. I don't see it happening, to be honest with you. Feminism is too big. The people who are fighting each other are feminists and MRAs. MGTOW don't have anything to do with any of that. It just, you guys go ahead and fight. You do your thing. We're going to go over here. That's very much the philosophy behind it. So if you can look at it as simply a set of rules to live by to protect yourself, that really is the core. I've said it before, Mel. I have to keep saying it because a lot of people don't get it. They think it's about hating women. No, 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 no. You spend too much time watching Angry MGTOW. Sorry. You spend too much time watching Sandman. Hey, everybody, Sandman here. I mean, I can hear it in my sleep sometimes. You know, it just riles me up. I hate it. There's a big difference between MGTOW and women hating. Just because you tag 5 letters on the end of your name does not make you a MGTOW.
Well, I suppose in that sense, you could say, you could apply that to just about anything. Because people, you can say that you're all for equal rights when you're not all for equal rights. I mean, feminists do it all the time. They claim it's about equality when in reality, modern feminism has nothing to do with equality. It's not about equality. It's about giving certain people more rights than the other person just because of what they have between their legs. I can see that, and I can see that from where I'm standing, and I'm far removed from that shit.
Yeah, a lot of people in the when they're talking about feminists, they go to the legal side as well. They'll say, well, tell me as a feminist, what rights do men have that you don't? And what they're talking about is legal rights. And that's not really what feminists are talking about. But they don't articulate themselves very well to say that. They bring up things that they want that have nothing really to do with the legal side. It's all about pay for my birth control and that kind of stuff. And that's fine. If that's what they want, you know, they will or they won't get it. Doesn't really matter to me either way. But the point being is that it's hard to use a legal argument with them because they don't see it as a legal issue. They call it rights, but it's not really rights that they want. They want advantages. Different story.
Well, anybody that tries to tell you that birth control is a right is an idiot. It's not a right. You don't have the right to birth control. But that's a tax. That's a tax and a government issue. That has nothing to do with MGTOW in of itself. I'm one of those people that I don't group everyone together. Just basically, like you said, just because somebody has MGTOW attached to their name doesn't necessarily mean that that individual does not represent the group as a whole or everybody that is, considers them a member of whatever this is. As you said before, there's not really a membership. You know what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, I'm not there are people out there that do lump the MGTOWs in with the MRAs and do make the assumption that you guys are generally the same group, which obviously is not the case.
Yeah, it's not an uncommon thing for people to do. I saw it last night on Ray's stream where a guy, very much a beta MGTOW, kind of a whiny, I had a hard time listening to the stream. I was like, dude, that's oh my God. In any case, he called me an MRA. I was like, you have no idea who you're talking to, pal. I really wanted to get on the stream, and instead she brought some guy, King something, who just came in and just played the shit talk game and kind of ruined everything. But the guy that was there just was not representing MGTOW well at all, and he kind of reinforced some stereotypes. That's why I've said to people, if I'm going to get on a stream and talk about MGTOW, I don't want any other MGTOWs on my side because they're just going to fuck it up. Seriously, they do. They try to get into all the ancillary arguments. I mean, they got off the topic so many times with this guy. He just constantly led them left and right and left, right. That's not what you want to do. Solve the problem. Say your piece, back it up with facts, and you win. There's no reason to get into all that other crazy bullshit. All you're doing is wasting time. So I had to leave the stream. I mean, I wasn't in it. I was watching a chat. I was like, never mind. I'm going to go watch Lords of the Night instead. This is crazy.
Yeah, then Ray's on a little bit too late for my liking. She comes on at like 9 my time, so. But I mean, sometimes if I'm up, I'll catch her. But usually, I'm getting ready for bed about at that time of the night because I gotta get up at 6. Well, sometimes it changes, but usually 5 o'clock in the morning.
Ouch.
Like, nope, I'm in bed. I mean, it's not bad once you're used to it, but I'm also, I'm supposed to be out of work by 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but that depends on the job. Sometimes I'm not home till fucking 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Like today, I wasn't home till 4. But that's that's work related in of itself, and that's enough to bore the years off of people. But in regards to MGTOW, me personally, when the phrasing itself, men going their own way. Well, one of the funniest things to me about that is people that get butthurt the minute that they hear the term. Like they haven't even listened to anything the person has to say. Rather, they've already jumped to conclusions. A lot of those conclusions have negative connotations behind them.
Absolutely.
Me personally, it's your lifestyle. I ask these people, it's like, is what this person doing hurting anybody? Well, no. Then it's none of your fucking business. Like if somebody chooses not to get married and not, if they choose not to get married and not have kids, it's a personal choice. You don't have the right to tell them what they can and can't do unless you're paying their bills. Question: what's a MGTOW?
I'm typing to. There you go. It's an acronym. Stands for men going their own way. It's men who don't. I probably should explain the philosophy in case there are people here who just really don't know what MGTOW really is.
Most people do, but go ahead anyway.
At least from my perspective, because some people may have different takes on it, but I see it as very much a legal thing, and I think that's where it stemmed from when it comes right down to it. There's three parts of the philosophy. The first is that you don't get married, and the reason for that is if you do get married, she will most likely divorce you. A matter of fact, I would say that you're most likely to get divorced. That's 57% right now, as far as 2018 is concerned. It was hovering around 50 for a couple of years, but now it's 57. And when you do get divorced, it will probably be your wife that initiates the divorce. If the woman is not college educated, the rate is 70%. Of the time a divorce is initiated, it's done by a woman. If the woman is college educated, then it fluctuates between 90 and 98% of the time that she will initiate the divorce. So if you get married, she's going to divorce you, basically what it comes down to. And when she does, like this typical Lady Murphy, she gets half. So whatever wealth you've built up, regardless of whether she's got a job or not, it's irrelevant. The courts are going to come down on her side. They always do. They always will, as far as I'm concerned. So if you have a house, she gets it. If you've got 2 cars, she gets one of those. And then the second part is living with you. If she's living with you, or 2 out of 3, the second of 3 things is that if she's living with you, alimony, which is basically indentured servitude. You pay. You have no choice to pay. You don't get to determine how much you pay. You just pay for well, it depends on the state, but for usually 20 years. So that's bad. And then the final part of the puzzle, the third piece, is don't have any kids with her. Because if you have kids, guess who's going to get them in the divorce? She's going to get the kids, the dog, and everything else. So if you want to have kids, you can have kids. That's fine. Just don't have kids with her. You can get a surrogate, and that child will be your child. Even if you do marry a woman and get divorced, if that child was yours before the marriage, you get to keep that child. I know it sounds kind of like property, but if you're a man who's been through a divorce and have lost your children, you know what I'm talking about. So that's the 3 things. Don't get married, don't cohabitate, don't have kids with her. If you follow those 3 things, you will get to keep everything you've spent your life building. So if you're in a position where you're retired, like me, no longer working, and you have built up a certain amount of wealth, you don't want to lose that and have to go back to work again. It's just protecting yourself. It's a legal for me, it's a legal aspect to protect yourself in case of. And to be honest with you, we know the numbers. People get divorced more than they don't. So I used to use the Bill Burr did a thing about getting divorced, and he said, if you're going to go skydiving, are you going to use a parachute that only opens 30% of the time? No, I'm not. So That's what MGTOW is from my side. That's why I consider it a philosophy, and I consider it something that you really can't argue with. I have women in my life. I have 2 girlfriends. I'm not gay. Um, they are satisfied. I help them. I respect them. Um, I don't know what other myths I can expose here, but if anybody in chat has questions about the details of it, I've been doing this for 30 years. So
And these 2 women are aware of each other, correct?
yes, and they don't like it very much, but they knew the rules going in. So
To be, so you explained to these women before this relationship started.
I met them literally within a day of each other, and but I just if you're a young single guy, you date around. There's nothing wrong with dating more than one woman at a time. But both relationships kind of progressed at the same rate till I got to the point where I was like, I care about both of these women. And at that point, I said, look, I took them out each one to dinner at separate days. And I said, look, I'm also seeing someone else. I don't want to stop seeing you. I think we have a special connection, blah, 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 blah. You have a choice to make here because I'm going to be serious with her too. Are you okay with me doing this or not? And both of them didn't like it, but both of them didn't stop the relationship either. So they've kind of agreed to it. And before people say, well, it's not fair. You're right. It's not fair. I'm not going to argue with you because you're right. It's not fair, but they both agreed. So that's where I'm at right now.
My issue with it would have arose if they weren't aware of each other. Since they're aware of each other and they're aware of the terms and conditions of the relationship, then it's consenting adults doing consenting adults, what consenting adults do.
I can't expect them to be honest with me if I'm not honest with them. So I had to come. It came to a point where I was like, I got to sit down. They got to know.
Yeah. So. Which, to me, and of course, I'm not dating anybody, no intention whatsoever. Like I've already mentioned this before, but I don't have the personality type that would allow me to date somebody, especially of the female gender, especially. But in the chat, we got people saying, not necessarily people, but a particular individual saying this is bullshit. And actually, in reality, what he's saying isn't inaccurate. What he's saying about the evidence as far as divorce goes is actually accurate. The numbers are correct. I mean, you can make the argument saying that, well, if people want to roll the dice and take the chance, then they should be free to do so. Which I don't think you're saying that people, if they choose to do it, shouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just saying they need to be aware of the numbers and the consequences of what's going to happen. Yes, you might not get divorced, but you might, and here's why that might end up being a bad thing. I see nothing wrong with bringing it up, and like I said before, it's your personal choice.
Well, might is probably a bad choice of words. What I would say is you're more likely to.
Yeah,
and you can't argue with that. You are more likely to. If it's over 50%, you are more likely to. So.
Newly awakened in the chat says, I agree that each thought he'd end up preferring them and eventually ditch the other, but he gets the last laugh and his cake. Well, at least they know about each other, and it's not like he's hiding it from them. So they're 2 consenting adults doing as they please. They're not locked in your basement, are they?
No, they're not locked in my basement. But they don't live with me either. They spend the night from time to time, but no, they don't cohabitate.
No, they're locked in the attic, actually. Jokes on that. No, it's so they spend the night there sometimes, but they don't do you have kids at all, or?
No, I don't have kids, but there's a couple of reasons why I don't have kids. It's not as far as the philosophy. It isn't really preventing me. I don't have very good genes. And I kind of recognize this early. My family has a lot of bad genetic diseases in them. My dad's diabetic. I'm diabetic. Thanks to my dad's genes. My mother's side of the family has heart issues. I have heart issues. So having a child is really putting them at a big disadvantage. So when I was in my mid-20s, I got a vasectomy. So I knew at that point, not going to be having kids. I'm 55 now. I'm an old guy.
55 is not old. I mean, people live, well past 100 nowadays. That 55 is like the new middle age.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make it that far, but it's
heart problem. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I've already had a heart attack, and I'm on Lipitor to prevent having another one. But I've been having pains the last couple of days. So Yeah,
Yeah,
not good.
I can't really, in regards to the children thing. I mean, if you recognize your genetics aren't necessarily the best, then that's probably, and at the end of the day, not only you don't want those genetics to continue, and you don't want to put the burden on your child.
Yeah.
The
If I was ever to have
possibility of
kids,
being
it
diabetic.
would. Yeah, if I was ever to have kids, the intent would have been to adopt.
Yeah,
But
which
at this point, 55, I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, both my girls are in their mid to late 30s, so but they don't have kids, and neither one of them want kids, so it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And I'm perfectly fine with that.
it's interesting that a woman in their 30s doesn't want to have kids. I suspect the biological clock to be ticking on them, but hey,
Yeah,
whatever.
some women just don't want to have kids. I don't know what it is. I don't.
Then they didn't get that. They didn't get the genetics for the internal biological clock, I guess.
Yeah, there's sometimes people just don't get the maternal instinct to have kids. I don't know what it is, but I'm not complaining.
55 is the new 25.
Yeah, it would be nice if that was
I
true.
wonder, 30 years younger. If that was the case, 26. I'm 26. Therefore, I wouldn't exist.
It seems like the chat is fighting each other in chat. We're having a more congenial conversation than the chat is. People are attacking me, and the
This
people are on my side are defending me. I love my
it's
wife.
surprising. It's this is surprising. Usually, my chat's pretty unusual. Would be the best way to say it, but usually full of
Mhm.
assholes.
I belong to a couple of groups of people, so they know me pretty well. You mentioned you're usually in the bed by 9 because you're up so early in the morning. 9 o'clock, there's a stream that I watch every night called Lords of the Night. Pretty popular YouTubers, Ranting Monkey,
Rent. Yep.
Satsu 2 Cents, Scribe Light. They're on the same level par with Bearing and the Warskis and stuff like that. And they have a fantastic stream, and they have a Discord. So I used to sit on their Discord, and people who watch the stream would come on the Discord and talk. Eventually, we became our own group, and we started our own channel, and we do our own show called Minions of the Zoo, and we follow the monkey stream about a half an hour later. So there, I do that. Um, I wouldn't really say that I'm a participating member so much, because although myself and Reject kind of built the group, I'm kind of like a backup host. We have regular hosts for every night. And then, so I'm part of that group, and that's probably 30 people there. And then I'm friends with another group called the Chaos 120 group. That's the Next 6 Minutes and his crew. So I know them. And then through Monking and the Lords of the Night, I've become, familiar friends with other YouTubers like Bearing, Tailed Feature, Suit Yourself, all those guys. So there's going to be a lot of people who know who I am that may show up in chat. So
Yeah, I think the largest YouTuber I ever had on was Declan Black.
oh yeah,
He
he's
was
been
he was an interesting character to talk to. Those Aussies, they're strange folk.
yeah, he's been on the monkey stream as well. But yeah, I haven't spoken to him directly, but I know who he is. It's a big community. There's a lot of people out there.
Oh yeah, I mean,
YouTubers.
even I've been around for off and on for a while, but all those names that you mentioned, there's some in there, that handful that you gave me that even I don't recognize. It's like nope, don't recognize that.
Yeah, they all
What's
kind
that,
of run.
Ryan?
They're all
What's
kind of in the
that?
same crowd, though. It's all, I guess you call antis, whatever they're calling it. The term is skeptics, whatever. But
Nah, I don't.
the big names, Sargon, all that kind of crap.
Yeah. It's I know like Randy Monkey and like some Dumb American and um freaking Satsu 2 Cents and stuff
Hmm.
like that. Like I don't know them like on a personal level. I know that they're YouTubers and they do videos that somewhat in like the skeptical sphere there. Even though I despise that term, it really drives me nuts. But
Yeah, it
people
seems
use
like
it all the time.
every term we come up with, everyone hates it. It used to be antis, then it was skeptics, and it's like, well, it's terrible. It is terrible. You're absolutely right. I don't know. I just kind of say and even now, if you say the community, people are like,
Yeah.
oh, the community. Don't call it the community. So I don't know what to call us, but people of that ilk, I can probably get away with that.
People that look, yeah, I think that's good. Even I'm like, all right, that one's not that bad. It's just like the whole skeptic thing. It's like, oh, you're skeptical. Everybody is skeptical of something. Come
Sure,
on now.
sure. It's not anything special.
I'm skeptical every time I got a fart. I'm not sure if I'm gonna crap myself or not. It's like, ooh, I'm not sure. I don't know if I should be doing this.
You know, when you get to my age, that's a reality, actually. So,
Fair enough. Fair enough. I haven't gotten that bad yet.
so does anybody in chat have any questions they want to pose, or?
Not. I haven't seen any yet. Oh, I try to keep up on my chat more or less as the stream goes on. Unless with most of the time, like I think with Conscious Caracal, well, he's very good with banter, despite the fact that English is his second language, and he has a lot of interesting, stuff to go over considering he's from South Africa. But our conversation was so, fluid, and I didn't have to worry. I wasn't even paying attention to the chat or the time for that matter. And it lasted, I think, like 3 hours. But yeah, it's Newly Awakened says she's been involved loosely in the lifestyle referring to polyamorous relationships and met a broad cross section of open and poly relationships. There are almost always esteem issues and self control issues. I think that's in regards to your two girlfriends.
Yeah, I don't know if you would call it polyamorous because they don't like each other, they don't talk to each other, they don't interact with each other. It's just two separate relationships with me as the link. So I don't know if you would say that that's polyamorous, but do you feel you have a strong, loving, committed relationship that will let lifelong with either of your girlfriends? That will, I guess you meant last, if that's female. It looks like the icon is.
Newly Awakened, yeah, she's female. I can confirm.
Okay, good. Do I feel like I have a strong, loving, committed relationship with? I do feel like I have a strong, loving, committed relationship with both women. They both have their personalities. They both have their issues with me and I with them. But I am having kind of an issue because one of them is more having a harder time dealing with the configuration than the other. So there is that. So I don't know how long it's going to be two girlfriends. But I can't feel guilty or anything along that lines because I made them aware of what was happening on the way in. So they knew. They made a decision. They're grown-ups, all that kind of stuff. And the other question was off of that statement, coming up on 20 years of marriage. I would get married. I've been married. I was married 3 years to a woman 7 years older than me. And it was a great relationship. Still very much love that woman, even though we don't really talk anymore. But I would get married, just not in the States, because the rules here are bad.
Assuming you live in the U.S.
Oh yeah, I live in the States. I live in Pennsylvania. I have a house in Virginia, but I spend most of my time in PA because my mom is elderly, so I have to take care of her.
PA's got some beautiful country. My brother lives in PA.
Yeah, it's cold.
I live in upstate New York. You don't know cold.
Yeah, well, I live on top of a mountain in Pennsylvania.
All right, fair enough.
The Pocono Mountains. So, yeah, we just had that snowstorm come through. I got 18 inches of snow. Sucks. But yeah, I mean, yeah, as long, I guess we'll see what happens in the future. Speaking about marriage, we'll see what happens in the future. But if I had the kind of money to have a house in a different country, kind of like Clooney does in Italy, he did it the right way. He said, "Oh, I'm not getting married in the States. I'll get married in Italy. And if you want to live together, we can live together in Italy because their rules are completely different than our rules. They're more fair." So he did it the right way. That's the way I would do it. I'd say, okay, I'll buy myself a, $30 million villa somewhere in Italy,
right,
and get married down there, and I'd be fine with that. It's just the rules, folks. It's just the rules that the American courts have set up. That's the only thing I have a problem with.
Yeah, part of the reason why I brought you on is I wasn't bringing on any debate MGTOW or anything like that, because quite frankly, like I thought about asking Ray to get on when you were on, because I thought I figured I might be able to ask something to this, but while I was listening to it, I was like, I really can't argue with this guy. Like he's right, and if you really want to boil it, if you really want, the only point that I could make an argument with you on is that some people do want to get married, but like that.
Sure.
That's up to the individual, and me trying to. There's no way to debate that, because A, it's up to the person, and B, everything that you said is based off of a statistical fact. So it's not like it's no, you shouldn't get married. You can't do that. It's no, here are the facts. You're warned.
If someone's going to get married, you have to understand that marriage is a contract. It's a piece of paper that you sign saying that you're going to be committed to each other. But it also puts financial responsibilities on both partners. So if you're going to sign a contract, make sure the contract's fair. And you can try to get a prenup, but they're easily gotten around. We proved that on Ray's stream, because when I initially appeared on the stream, we actually had somebody who had legal experience. And I said, before he even showed up, I said, you can call in your legal guy, but he's going to agree. You can get around prenups pretty easily. And sure enough, he got on stream and he said exactly that. So even a prenup doesn't protect you from what could happen.
Is that Goodnight guy that came on?
Yeah, I think that's what his name was.
Yep. Sure. He's buddy of mine.
Yeah. So he came on and basically took my side. So it kind of just proved, what I was saying. And I just hate getting into the kind of back and forth. And we didn't really get into it with on Ray's stream. I hate getting in the back and forth of, well, I don't see the romance in not being married. You can be romantic without having that piece of paper. And a lot of people do it. And a lot of people are very happy doing it. A piece of paper doesn't guarantee romance.
No.
Well, what about sex? Well, I'm not married. I'm getting plenty of sex. That's not a problem.
Yeah, anybody that thinks
really,
there are certain groups of people that think that you shouldn't have sex until after you're married.
Right,
but that's a religious side of things.
Yeah.
And I'm not a religious person at all. So
honestly, ask anybody who is married how much sex they're really having. Yeah, probably not a lot. So granted, if you're single, you're going to have periods where you're not seeing anybody and you're not going to be having sex, at least not with anyone else. So there is that. But if you can maintain a relationship with somebody outside of marriage who is dedicated to you, you're going to have all the sex that you want. So that's not really an issue. And I don't at any point feel like I'm particularly lonely. See, these are some of the questions that people have, some arguments. Aren't you lonely? No, not at all. Having two girlfriends, I'm not lonely. And if it comes down to one girlfriend, I'm still not going to be lonely. If I get in a position where I have no girlfriends, I know where the pound is. I can get myself a dog, pat somebody on the head. They'll be happy to see me come home. They'll be sitting by the door. Hey, how you doing? Pat them on the head. That's all the loneliness I have to deal with. So, I mean,
I was going to say, and then the funny thing about the dog is the dog won't leave you and take after shit either.
Poppy's giving me shit in chat. Hey, I said I'm basically married and have a lot of sex. Let's get specific. Are you married to the man you're with? No.
I don't believe in marriage. I'm not that kind of lady. I mean, wait, what?
So.
Yeah, it's it seems like they jump to a conclusion. One of the conclusions they're jumping to is that since you are MGTOW, self-professed, they assume that you have something against women, and therefore you want nothing to do with them, so you're not getting laid. And it's a jump to a conclusion that most people make, because they don't see, like, the reasonable people, they don't see, they just see the nut jobs.
Right. Stop watching Sandman.
Sandman. I don't even know who that is, but I can.
Oh my god, you don't know who Sandman is?
Is anything like Angry MGTOW? It's just
worse.
Cringy.
He's worse. Let me give you the rundown on these two guys so you understand what the differences are, because they're different. But Angry MGTOW is an unattractive man who can't get laid, and I'm not going to pull any punches here, in case you ever wonder. I'm not the kind of guy to pull punches. His job is to put statements, women hating statements on his channel to gather an audience so he can make money. That's his focus. He's what we call forced MGTOW. He's not attractive, so he's not getting laid. So he's taking all that energy and putting it into his channel. That's fine. He is a quantifiable. You can put him in a bubble. That's who he is. Fine. Sandman's a different story. Sandman is a true believer. Sandman believes the stuff he's saying, where Angry MGTOW is saying what people want to hear. There's a difference there.
Yep.
I see Sandman as the kind of guy who's going to lose it one day and people are going to be in trouble. I don't want to get too specific and I don't want to slander. So I got to be careful of how I say this, but you know, he could be our next instance of a Florida school shooting. He's just, there's something about him that's just not right, man. He thinks that if a man has sex with a woman, that there's something in the vagina that causes a man to become subservient to the woman. A compound of some sort. I think he refers to it as vagina butter or something along that lines.
Vagina butter. Oh my God.
I know. And he believes it. He's not fucking around. He's 110% serious about this. That's why he's scary. And he has a voice that I can't do him very well. You'd have to listen to him, but only listen to him once. Just don't try to keep listening to him because you'll go insane. But his voice kind of goes up at the end of every sentence, kind of like he's Australian or something like that. But he starts every video with exactly the same phrase. Now, I don't have a problem with that. There are people that I watch who start their videos with exactly the same phrase every time, and I love it. What's up, YouTube? Boogie2988 here. You know, I know that beginning. Every single time Boogie does that, I know that beginning. Hey, you beautiful bastards. I'm Philip DeFranco. I know that beginning every time. I love it. This guy starts with, hey, everybody, Sandman here. And he says it has that thin voice, and it's the same phrase. And if you don't immediately become vomitous from that intro, there's something wrong with you. I just creeps me out. I get goosebumps and everything. It's horrible. I can't watch his videos anymore. I can still watch Angry MGTOW because I can laugh at him. But there's something unbalanced and creepy about Sandman. I watch him once so you can understand what I'm talking about, but be careful because Looney Tunes.
Yeah, right. It's I'm gonna have to look this guy up just out of pure curiosity now. But
be careful, tread lightly.
I think I see what you're jabbing at here. I think and there's a clarification in the chat. Lucky Pop Tart says no. He says it smells like butter because he noticed it around teen girls. Okay, does this guy own a panel van without any windows? It's a legitimate question because this guy shouldn't be allowed within 200 feet of a fucking school if that's what he's been saying.
I keep Sandman at the furthest arm length I possibly can. So if I don't know every specific about him, that's an advantage to me. I am not that infected by the guy. So I don't know all the details. I know there was something along that lines, but yeah, Poppy probably got it right. So
how many subscribers does he have? Like, does he have a large following?
I don't want to get that close. I don't want to find out. I don't want to know anything about him. It's like he's cancer, man. The last thing I want to do is get cancer myself.
Yeah, it's the gay cancer AIDS. You don't want that. It's one of those things. It's one of those things where I'm really tempted. I am going to look up just out of pure curiosity at this point how many subscribers he has. Not that the number really matters all that much, but and when it comes to I guess the point I'm trying to make is he's got a large following base. There's a lot of people that watch this guy and like actually take him seriously. Yeah, he's got 106,000 fucking subscribers. So 106,000 people actually take this guy seriously. That's crazy.
That is some misguided youth there.
And I can see the thing that I see with it when it comes to MGTOW, I guess would be the people that go MGTOW because they just got out of a really, really bad relationship, which I was kind of headed down that path with one of the last more serious relationships I had. This is back before I was really on the internet, so MGTOW I didn't even know it existed. Like it was a non-issue to me, but I got myself out of it. But it's one of those. It's one thing to be unwary of, not unwary, to be wary of marriage because you understand, the numbers, and it's another thing to, fear dating because you're afraid to get hurt, or you don't trust women just because of one bad experience.
Mm-hmm. Very common thing for a man to get his feelings hurt and then fuck all women. I hate women. Fuck all women. I see that on a regular basis, and it's hard to maintain that distance of that sense of self. That's what I've been kind of calling it. Is that, yeah, you're in a relationship, yeah, you care about the person, but still be you. Don't make yourself part of them, because
It's a
if something
very
happens, you lose part of yourself, and then it's fuck all women. Don't
yeah.
get
Well,
that far.
you do not want to build yourself around somebody, which legitimately is the mistake that I did, and
It's almost
when
natural to do that,
yeah,
especially
which
for
it's not a
guys.
good thing though.
Yeah, I mean, certainly women do it too, but yeah, it's very common for guys to really, they found the girl of their dreams, and it's very romantic and all that kind of stuff. But you gotta still be able to, be yourself. You still have to. I mean, it's hard to maintain that balance where you're like, you're dedicated to her and you love her and you feel dead. This could be the person I want to spend the rest of my life with, but still maintain that. Well, I have to do this for me, and I have to do that for me, and you still have to be your own self, because life is not fair. Things are going to happen. The whole thing of divorce. There could be other things that get in the way. She has a moment of weakness and cheats or something like that. Things that could impact you emotionally, which will impact you in other parts of your life. Because if you get depressed or that kind of stuff, suicidal, who knows where that ends. You don't let you get yourself get into that position. Respect her, cherish her, but maintain your own sense of self. That's the only real advice I could give a guy. I just found out that one of the guys I know in my real life is planning on getting married, and I said, look, I'm not going to try to influence you here, but just take a second and think about what you're doing. Make sure when you look at that marriage contract, make sure you have some kind of clause in there about divorce. Try to protect yourself. Oh, we're never going to get divorced. Well, all right, I feel like I've done my duty as your friend to at least say this. I'm not going to try to talk you out of your marriage. If you want something, is that what you want to do? You're a responsible grown adult. You make your own decisions. You do what you got to do. But as your friend, I have to say at least this.
Yeah, which it's at least bringing the numbers to the surface, letting them actually see it is not necessarily a bad thing. Like you said before, not trying to influence them. But in regards to that though, when it comes to marriage, like when some people have this preconceived notion that marriage is this one particular thing, either they get it from society or they picked it up from their parents, and it's not going to be the same, it's not going to be the same, race course for everybody. The track changes from person to person, if you get the analogy here.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, like me, I recognized, probably a year or two ago, that the way my personality is and marriage, they don't cohabitate. They do not exist in the same universe. It's just
Mm.
it wouldn't work. And B, I don't want I can barely stand being around myself, and I can't force that on somebody else. That's just cruel and unusual punishment. And I may be an asshole, but I'm not a monster.
Well, everybody is, multiple personalities really when it comes down to it. Everybody has their good and bad parts. Um, but yeah, you have to be at peace with yourself really before you can
Oh
even
yeah.
think about that kind of stuff. So
I think a common theme that I see from people that end up in relationships that go down the tubes is it happens with males and females, but usually it's the female doing it. But they go into the relationship expecting to fix something that's fundamentally flawed about the person.
oh yeah.
And like I see my one of my friends, she has a reputation for dating guys that have emotional issues, which
Mhm.
we started talking because she had a thing for me. whole emotional issue thing. But I told her, not gonna happen. I'll be friends with you. I'll still talk to you and give you advice or whatever. But you do not want any part of what I am. But like she always ends up the relationship. She goes into the relationship, expects to fix the guy. The fucking guy's it's part of his personality. He's not gonna change it. So they break up. She comes back. She comes to me and goes and will ask me for relationship advice. And this has happened like 3 or 4 times. And after every single guy, I always give her the same spiel. I was like, you have to go into a relationship with a guy that you don't want to fix because he's already what you want. Because you're not gonna. There's certain people have things about their personality that are fundamental that you can't change, no matter how much you try. I mean, the power of titties is strong, but it's not that strong.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that happen with friends where, and I try to warn my friends that male and female that if you find somebody attractive, make sure that you're happy with all the things they are bad at. If you can do that, if you can tolerate all the bad things, then you have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what did my father always tell me? Oh, you may find those little nitpicks that your significant other does. You might find those cute when you first start dating, but when you get the further in a relationship, those tiny little things are gonna drive you fucking nuts. And I should have listened. I should have listened to the older folk because they were right.
Yeah. Well, it's a certain amount of experience there. I
Yeah.
don't have any problems with any of the women I've dated that I can think of. There was never anybody who did anything that was like, oh my God, I can't stand that. Even the girls I'm with now, I'm completely happy with them. They don't have any bad habits. There's no smoking, neither of them alcoholics or drugs or anything. They're all good people. So
obviously they're not living with you, so I'm assuming they all have their own jobs and basically pay their own way, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, one of them has a kind of a hard time managing her budget. She doesn't have a high paying job. So she works at a bank. So she doesn't make a whole lot of money. So I help her if she gets into trouble. A few months ago, she bought something that she didn't really need, and it put her back on her phone bill. So she bought a set of headphones. She's a real audiophile. She's one of those people who has like a gazillion songs on her phone.
I'm like that myself, so I'm not going to judge.
And her headphone was crap, and it finally broke. It was only coming out of one ear, so she unplugged it, and she had to listen to her PC speakers, and they're crap, of course, because how many laptops have great speakers? So she went on and bought a set of headphones, but it put her back on her phone bill. And I said, well, okay, listen, this is what we're going to do. I said, take the headphones back. I'll give you a set of my headphones. I have a nice set of audiophile type headphones. They're Steel Series Arctic whites. They're really nice headphones. I gave her them. They were much more expensive than the ones she bought anyway, and they're much nicer. I said, here, take mine. Take yours back. Take mine. Take the money and pay your phone bill. And I said, now take $20 out of your every pay until you have enough to buy the headphones you want. Because even the ones she got, she didn't really like them that much, but at least they worked and they sound decent. So that's what she's doing. We went through this whole process, loaned her my headphones. Now she's saving money, and she's going to have a couple $100 to buy a really nice set of headphones, and she's going to be happier by doing that. So I didn't really just walk in and say, well, I'll just buy you your headphones or I'll just pay your bill. Although I could have. No, I'd rather have her become more responsible with her money and learn how to properly save and pay and budget and all that kind of stuff than walking in and, making everything right with a paycheck.
Gotcha. That's a bad example.
Yeah. So that's only, but I mean, being bad with money, people have faults, and you can't hold lack of proper training for that kind of thing. Parents don't always teach their kids how to handle money.
Yeah,
so,
not always.
So it's not a big flaw with her personality. It's just something she's going to learn over time.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, not really, unfortunately, but if you had just paid it for it, you wouldn't have learned a lesson either. So, live and learn.
But that's the only thing I've really run into. One girl works at the bank, the other one's a photographer, and she's not in the States very much. Well, I mean, she is, but she's comparatively she's not. She does a lot of photography overseas, that kind of stuff. So that may
Gotcha.
be the reason why this works as well as it does.
Oh, she's not home very often. Then I take it.
Uh, I would say she's gone a week a month. Every month she's gone about 7 to 10 days.
Like in a run or in total?
Usually the way her photo assignments work is she's displaced for a specific period of time. So it could be 3 days. It could be fly over, take pictures, come home, or it could be go here, take pictures, wait 2 days, take these pictures for this person, and then come home. So it really is she's freelance. So she's as needed by whoever she's photographing. I don't want to dox myself too much, but so things, can change pretty quickly. But yeah, she's where the other girl's only about 4 miles from here, and she just works at a bank that's pretty local. So we can see each other. And she's the one I'm having problems with. So
Awesome.
she's the one that's not too happy about the situation. But
You know how women are.
if yeah, I mean, if things go the way they go, there's nothing I can do. People are going to make their own decisions, and that's fine. So there would be no hurt feelings if she decided that this wasn't for her, because it isn't fair. I know it's not fair, so I'm not going to hold her to it.
Yeah, it's funny. Traversable. The
Yeah,
English.
he's not too happy.
This two guys talking about what they think MGTOW is. I don't think I've said anything about what I think it is. I've just simply been asking questions because I don't want to misrepresent somebody. It's a wonderful thing. Me personally, I'm not a MGTOW. That doesn't mean that I have issues with people that are. It's a personal choice. Do whatever the fuck makes you happy, man. I'm not going to stop you. As long as what you're doing is not illegal and you're not hurting anybody, I quite frankly couldn't care less.
Well, there is some argument that I am hurting people by doing this. And not because of the girls that I'm dealing with or whatever. It's that there is some perspective that by that I'm putting pressure on the system by not following its rules.
How do you mean?
Well, I'm because I am working around the legal system to nullify the legal system, that I'm putting technically. Imagine if every man was MGTOW. That would be the end of civilization. There would be no babies.
I don't think that would ever happen.
No, I don't think so either. But there is a perspective there that's actually kind of valid. I it's kind of a long shot, but yeah, there is kind of a perspective there that if this was to go unchecked, and people have used those words to me, if this was to go unchecked, like it needs to be checked. But if it was to go unchecked, and technically everyone was going to be in the United States, MGTOW, in Japan, herbivore men, whatever flavor is in whatever country you're in, that if men were just to turn their backs on having babies with women, that the social structure would break down and we would end up not having any kids, and that would be the end of life on the planet, kind of deal. And like I said, long shot, but it's not completely an invalid point.
No, it's not. I mean, you can see where they're coming from, but then again, you also have to you also have to keep in mind human nature as well. While you don't hear about it as much with men, we do have a biological drive to reproduce. Like, yes, it's nowhere near as strong as a female's biological drive to reproduce, but it is there. I mean,
I think men have a stronger biological imperative to try to reproduce, because guys are led by their dicks. I'm sorry, but it's a truth.
True statement.
You see anything that walks and is halfway presentable, yeah, you'll fuck it. Yeah, you will. So like, I mean, a lot of guys would.
They might say, "Oh, I wouldn't do that." Yeah, I'll ask you I'll ask you 10 beers from now. At the end of the night, when she's hanging one around, yeah, you'll do it. You do it. Yep. Don't fucking lie to yourself. Unless you're gay, which if you're gay, more fucking power to you, dude. I'm not going to stop you. Yeah. But in that case, the argument would be invalid because it's not, dude, it's a chick.
Women are used to it, though. Women are used to guys offering them dick all the time, so they pick and choose. But yeah, they do want to have kids. There's no doubt about that. At least most of them do.
The women can be pickier about who they actually date and who they find sleep with in general, because men are usually the pursuers, not the pursued. not the ones being pursued. Well, with that said, I have had women and gay men buy me drinks at a bar before, and in the gay man respect, I'm not that. I don't swing that side of the plate, but hey, I appreciate you thought I was cute enough to buy me a beer.
Yeah. My dad said to me when I was growing up, if a gay man ever pays you a compliment, he says, take it. If someone finds you attractive, that's not a bad thing. If you're gay or you're not gay, what you do next is up to you. But if someone thinks that you're a good looking guy, take the compliment, man.
Yeah, I mean, I take every compliment that you get. You're not going to get them a lot in your life. Might as well take the ones that you can get. And in regards to the chat, is what they're saying about Rouge V. I'm not. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're probably aware of who he is, but I am not a fan. And I'm not a fan because I'm saying this to like White Knight for fucking Venti or whatever. Just I don't like this. I don't like the way that he argues, and I don't like the things. Not only the way that he argues, but the way he phrases things.
Hmm.
Personally, but also at the end of the day, I'm not saying he can't say those things. He can say whatever the fuck he wants. I just happen to disagree with the guy.
Sure. Well, all I can do, I've talked to the group that I kind of hang with, the Minions group, and a lot of them have said, you should probably just turn the boat into the storm and take on the mantle of trying to talk people out of what MGTOW has been portrayed on YouTube. And so not like I've gotten pressure on it, but a couple of people have suggested it to me. And usually I'm pretty quiet about this. And I've said to people before, this is a very small part of my life. It's just three things that I follow, but it's not present every day, and I'm not thinking about it. And I'm not making videos every day like the other people do about this. It's just something that happens to be part of me. But there's so much misinformation that there is a certain amount of pressure, even now that I'm thinking about it myself, that I really should spend more time on this subject with more people, trying to correct some of the misinterpretations you get from people. I've used the argument on Ray's stream, and I've used it with other people when they start trying to tell me what MGTOW is. I've been doing this for a long time. I have a pretty good handle on what it is. And I always say to them, well, this is kind of, I try not to say this too often because it's easy to have people lie about, but I say, how many MGTOWs have you shaken hands with? And that usually stops them, because they realize they don't have any real life experience with somebody who actually is. If you want to, if you want to meet a MGTOW, if you're in the States, let me know. I'll stop by. Meet a real.
I know a few up by where I live. That a couple of my bar buddies that are MGTOW, but they're a lot less. They're not the stereotypical fanatic ones that most people portray as what a MGTOW is. So it's one of those things where I could see where you're coming from, because these guys, they don't hate women. They're like, they don't want any. They don't even really want a relationship. They like the sex, but they don't want the other side of it either. So it's like, more power to them. I'm fucking. What are you gonna do? Make a law saying that you can't do it?
Yeah. You have a thing for Lauren Southern?
Who, me? Oh yeah, I'd give my right testicle to plow that.
Really?
Oh hell yeah!
A lot of people. Is that your girl on the internet? Is she the pinnacle?
Yeah, I'd say so. If I had to pick an internet celebrity, it'd be Lauren Southern. That's on the top of my bang list. It never happened, but I'd still do it. I'm not gonna lie and say that I wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I can see it. She's a pretty girl, no doubt.
And if I were to choose, a celebrity, it'd be younger Julian Moore.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a thing for redheads though. So.
Oh yeah. We got one in the chat. Poppy's a redhead. My internet celebrity has been for a long time Catherine Winnick. You may not know that name.
Catherine Winnick. How do you spell her last name?
Winnick. If you've heard of the TV show on History Channel called Vikings.
Yep, I've heard of it.
She plays the female lead in the TV show.
Let's see what she looks like.
That's my celebrity crush.
Come on. Close,
and I'm not really that big on blondes either, but
yeah, I cannot argue with you. That is not half bad looking.
It's a very pretty girl.
Yeah, same thing though. I'm not the biggest fan of blondes. For me, it's like redhead, then brunette, and then blonde. But I feel it's just one of those things. It's something I expected. I live with. But like you said before, men are driven by their dicks, and at the end of the night, when the
Uh-huh.
bar is all cleared out, I take whatever I can get.
Yep. Yep. Well, Poppy chimed in on the redhead issue. Redheads kick ass. Yes, they do. I was born a redhead.
Lauren Southern could punch me in the face, and I'd be like, "Swiggity, swiggity." To me, there are things to say about that though. That there are there are certain people in this world who can get away with enacting violence upon certain people, and those certain people would be like, "I appreciate it," and G Money's not wrong. Lauren Southern could punch me in the balls, and I'd say, "Thank you, ma'am. Can I have another?"
Yeah, she's a pretty girl.
Yeah, she is. But
Anybody in chat have any other questions for us?
super simp. I don't even know what the fuck that means.
I'm all about trying to help people understand where this whole process is and where it's come from. So,
Well, really, realistically, can MGTOWs can you trace like the whole? I guess once again I was going to call it a movement, but under the behest
philosophy.
under the behest I'd call it a philosophy instead.
Yeah, it's the best word I can come up with for it.
So does it have? Can you track the lineage? Like,
I think it goes back to herbivore men, but I can't go past that because that's Japan. How do you get into their culture to find out? But I think that's where at least some of it came from because they don't have the rules. They don't have the court issues that we have here. Women are less there. It's like Saudi Arabia. Women don't have agency, I guess is the word to use there, like they do here. But I guess that it migrated over because our laws are so fucked that the Americans made the 1+1 kind of thing and said, okay, well, if the laws are fucked and they do this herbivore thing, we should do kind of the same thing. I haven't ever gotten to the point where I thought it was necessary to find out where the lineage started, but it's been around for a long time. I could tell you that because I heard of this in my 20s.
interesting. I never really heard about it too much until I started getting more involved in the internet. But
yeah, I didn't
that's
consider
probably
myself one till after I got divorced because I
fair
had
enough.
heard about it when I was in my 20s, so I knew it existed. But I got married anyway. I was one of those guys who was like, yeah, but I love her. I got to have her. She's got to be mine. So I married her, and she turned out to be, there's a term in MGTOW philosophy that is another acronym because MGTOWs love acronyms for some reason, but the acronym is not all women are like that, or NAWALT, not very pronounceable.
Yeah, that doesn't quite ring as well.
Yeah, my wife was not the kind of person who would take you to the cleaners. We split things, and I didn't get the house, but I didn't own the house. I didn't really want the house, to be honest with you. It was just too much money for the property. But we had 2 cars. I got a car. We didn't have any kids. I got one of the kittens. I have a kid. I had a kid. But here's furniture. Take whatever furniture you want. It was very civil. It was very civil. No throwing of plates. No screaming. No punching. None of that kind of stuff. It was all
No getting knifed.
yeah. No knives. No knives involved. It was very very congenial. So, but afterwards, my friend came to me. He said, "Dude, you don't know what you just ducked out of." He said, "You could have been totally screwed." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, she could have just, the only thing that she insisted on of all of it was that she was the one who initiated the divorce. It was about ego.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to be the one to divorce me, and I was like, "Fine, I don't give a fuck. Whatever you want. I could care less." It's not like I'm going to be faced with this in my political career. She divorced you. Yeah, so what? Totally irrelevant to me. But it was her ego. She wanted to be the one. I was like, okay. So
Yeah, that's a bonus. I mean, I know people that have gotten out of they've had divorces and they've been civil, and I know people that have had divorces and it's been hell on earth. But my you know majority of the friends that I have, I live in a well right now I live in a city, but it's not a very large city. It's like 10,000 people, like
mhm.
10,000 and some change. So it's a city, but it's not a big city. And there's still a lot of the a lot of the more right wing conservative religious fundamentals are still like embedded in a lot of people around here. So marriage is still a
Sure.
relatively common thing, and
That's
even
common everywhere.
and and of all the guys that I went to high school with that ended up getting married, I think I was in a class of like 60 people, and I think like fucking 28, 29 of them were men, and I think 7 of them I know got married, and 3 of them have been divorced, and those divorces were bad,
Yep.
very bad. But small town America, everybody knows everybody, so there's a lot of shit slinging going on between the two families.
Yep. Happens. It happens. That's the most common occurrence. There's hurt feelings. People take revenge. There's a certain amount of retribution involved every time. So,
Mm-hmm. Do you mind in the bank something pretty funny? I'm calling it back. He goes, the legal term for that is hippity hoppity, women are property.
oh man. oh.
I wouldn't want women to be property, man. I don't even like having to deal with the upkeep on my car. Could you imagine having a woman as property? You think
yeah.
changing your oil's bad?
Nah. I mean, I listened to the Matt Christensen's podcast, The Beauty and the Beta, and he has a girl on there called Blonde who advocates for the fact that women should not be able to vote. She's a woman who advocates that women should not be able to vote.
That's funny.
Pretty wild.
I mean,
pretty wild stuff.
I disagree, but hey, to each their own.
Well, I mean, if you had to listen to some of her videos, because believe it or not, she makes a pretty good case.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, if you really want to get into the political side of it for a brief moment, we can touch on that. Me politically, I'm a libertarian, very right leaning, more right leaning. I don't have any of the religious baggage that most conservatives have. I'm definitely not a conservative. Socially, I'm quite liberal, but when it comes to voting, I think it should be landowners, property owners can vote.
That's the way it started.
I believe that's the way that it should be. Now, when I say property owners, that means that if you're a man, you own property, doesn't matter what color your skin is, you can vote. If you're a woman, you own property, doesn't matter what color your skin is, you can vote. You have to own property, though.
Yeah.
So,
see, the deal there with that whole thing is that that's how the Salem witch trials started, because it wasn't that they were witches, is that the women owned property. So for the men to get the property, they would call them witches, get them killed, and they take their property. That's how that worked. So, I consider myself a constitutionalist. If the Constitution says it, then let it be so. I don't really have I'm definitely anti-SJW. I'm to some extent anti-feminist. But really it's radical feminism that I'm against. So I can't listen to Christy Winters or Chrisiosity or those people. They're out of their minds. But I subscribe to Ranting Feminist, and I have a discourse with her. We talk, and she knows where I'm at, and I know where she's at, and we still find a way to talk to each other, and I'm not transphobe. I mean, I subscribe to Blair. I subscribe to ContraPoints. And some of the people that I identify with and enjoy the most in the Minions group are 2 trans women that we have in the group. I mean, Chaos Eve and Fat Platypus. I get along with them really well. So we seem to have everybody in our group, very diverse. I know, love that word. A diverse group. So, but a diverse group, and there's blacks and whites and men and women, trans, gay, all that kind of stuff. It's all represented in our group, and except for 1 or 2 assholes, we don't have any problems in our group. Everyone gets along.
Funny thing that.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoy the friendships with that group more than some of the friendships I have in real life, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
it's the internet is interesting in that it allows people that would normally never come into contact with each other on a day-to-day basis. Allows people to come together and talk about ideas and express themselves on what should be freedom under the rules of freedom of speech, but with the Count Dankula thing recently that just happened, and
Oh man,
the policing, especially in the UK, of the internet, which I can't believe that the UK is so boring that the police have enough free time to go policing people's fucking Twitter accounts. But hey, I don't live in the UK, so it's not an issue to me. But I know a couple of people in the chat. Max France, actually, he's across the pond in the UK.
mm-hmm.
He constantly bitches about the UK in general about their freedom of speech, but
yeah. Well, I mean, they don't have it.
They don't have a First
Amendment.
They don't have an equivalent to that.
They don't have a right to freedom of speech. Like, we're the only country that does. USA is the only country that has a constitutionally protected right to freedom of speech. No one else has that because the great thing about the Constitution is it's above law. It's the only thing that's above law is the Constitution. Laws can be struck down and redone. You have to amend the Constitution, and God help you trying to get that done. So that's why when I hear about what happened to Dankula and free speech and all that kind of stuff, I look to the Constitution and I grab onto that First Amendment. I'm saying, just stay right here and you fucking protect me, from what's happening over there, because everywhere else, rights have been taken away from people. Right now, freedom of speech is the big deal with Dankula. Australia, you can't own a gun unless you prove to the government that you have a need for one. They don't have a Second Amendment. If for some reason Australia faces tyranny, they're done. They're done. Their populace cannot protect themselves from their government. Their government can bring up the military and mow everybody down, and there's nothing anybody can do to stop them.
Yeah, which
I can't live in a country that I couldn't. For as much as I love Australia, and some of the people in Australia are fucking awesome people, they really are.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the government. It's always in the government. I saw these things on Twitter. I know I'm kind of bouncing from subject to subject, but people were saying "fuck Scotland" in their Twitter about what's going on with Dankula. Fuck Scotland. I'm like, dudes, it's not Scotland. It's their government. It's different. There's a word called government, and then there's a word called country.
Yep.
Two different things, folks. Two different things. The people who live there, awesome. The government who's oppressing them, bullshit. Got to make the distinction. You got to make the distinction. So far, the governments for most of these places, except for what's happening in Europe right now, have allowed their people to be as free as they can be. So in Australia, you can say things and you're not going to get shot, from the government. You're not going to have the military on your doorstep. But they could. They can't do it here. Can't do it here. If you come after me, you're going to be facing an arsenal.
Oh yeah. It's always funny. I mean,
give it a try.
It's funny to me, people that, especially the more modern extremist liberals, they view the Second Amendment. It's like, oh, it's an outdated piece of legislation. And I was like, no, there's a reason why it was the First Amendment. They all got together and was like, this First Amendment, that's a really strong, that's a really strong piece of legislation. We need to defend that. What are we going to use to defend it? Oh, we'll write the Second Amendment right after it. There's no way that people in the future could possibly not see how they're correlated.
The Constitution is a living document. And how can you say that the Bill of Rights is an invalid document? That's what the first 10 amendments to the Constitution are.
Yeah, the Bill of Rights. You'd be surprised at some of the dumb shit people say.
I wouldn't be surprised. I've heard a lot of it.
Oh, you're 55 years old. You've been around the sun a few more times than I have. I'm sure you've heard more than I have.
The country's taken quite a nosedive in the last 5 years, though. It's scaring even me.
Mm.
This social justice stuff has got to stop. There's only one kind of justice: legal justice.
Well, it's like the social justice stuff. Like, people, I understand people moved away from it as far as videos go and everything. And you and I don't touch on social justice anymore. I mean, other than the rant I did on Dankula, but usually I discuss more, fundamental political, movements and as a whole. But it's still, at the end of the day, I could sit down and have a conversation with people about why SJWs are so toxic and so bad for the country as a whole, because these not silent, but these quiet or loud minorities, rather, which that's what they are. They're a minority. They're not a larger portion of the populace than the average blue collar working American. It's just that they're extremely loud and have a lot of free
Mhm.
time because they go to college and mommy and daddy pays their bills.
Yeah.
So they're the loudest and you see them the most.
Right.
But they're toxic to the country because the lawmakers see the loud minority and think that that's how the rest of the country wants their legislation and laws to be modeled after,
Mhm.
which is not the fucking case.
Yeah. Well,
SPLC SPLC thinks everything right of Stalin is hate. The sad part is
yeah.
he's not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to what you said about social justice and YouTube, the marketplace of ideas won that argument for us. The social justice warriors put videos out being really stupid, and then the anti group mocked them, and everyone said, "Well, A, social justice, or B, anti. We'll go with B." So we kind
Yeah.
of won that because of the marketplace of ideas. They presented their ideas, if you want to call them that, and we rebutted those ideas, and everyone said, well, the rebuttal is where we want to be. So on YouTube, we've pretty much won, to the point that the people who are social justice warriors don't even make videos anymore. They just don't. I mean, I haven't seen a Riley video, or I actually call him Justin. I haven't seen Riley Dennis's video in a long time because no one's talking about him. No one talks. I hear nothing. And even the videos that I watch from Chrisiosity and stuff like that, they're not really harping hard on SJWs anymore. They've kind of gotten off the subject into other things that are arguable and tolerable and legitimate to some extent. So I just don't see videos coming out saying you must screw trans people. I don't see those videos anymore. So we've beaten them back on that front. But in the real world, it's still very pervasive. It's in all of academia. It's in all of media, news. Social justice is embedded, and that's the scary part, because I don't know how we get it out. It is a cancer that has wormed its way into everything, even our preschool.
Yeah, it's a system of thinking that's embedded in the minds of the youth, at a young age in the public education system. Which the best way to indoctrinate someone into a belief system is to start them when they're young and their brains are malleable. But Excalibur does have a question aimed more so at you than me, since I'm not MGTOW, so I won't claim to speak for them. And he says he doesn't. He's a purple pill boy who doesn't understand MGTOW. What is it? Isn't MGTOW supposed to be about celibacy? Blech, can't
Celibacy.
English today.
Not at all. Priesthood, yeah, that's supposed to be about celibacy. MGTOW, not anything to do with celibacy. Not at all. As we've mentioned earlier in the stream, I got girlfriends. MGTOW is just about protecting at least from my perspective, my philosophy with MGTOW is just about protecting yourself legally. It has nothing to do with relationships. It's not about women hating. Go out and have a good time, man.
I advocate for that, even if you aren't MGTOW, because life's short and you're gonna die eventually. You might as well enjoy it while you're here.
Absolutely.
MRA is pointless. They failed for over 3 decades and have yet to get a single win. And just because they haven't won doesn't mean that their points aren't valid. Jesus Christ!
No, their points are valid, but they're just not going to win. That's why MGTOW is what it is because we know that MRI is not going to get anywhere. Feminism is just too big. It's too. It's what do women do better than men on the most important thing they organize? So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, feminism is just, you're not going to beat them. MRA has been trying for a while. They have valid points. If you've watched the Red Pill movie, you know that MRA has valid points. You can't argue that they have valid points, but you can argue that they're never ever going to see a change. Feminism is just not going to allow it.
They're arguing. It's like watching fucking crippled guy try to fight Mike Tyson. Like, Mike Tyson's gonna win. It's just a matter of how long is the other guy gonna last before he gets knocked out.
Feminism is the 800-pound gorilla. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's
because they want followers. That's the only reason why.
Oh yeah, feminists in themselves will eat each other alive for simple reasons, and it's funny because a feminist goes a little bit off the beaten path, and maybe dates somebody that just got their ideas from is freaking third wave feminism, college fucking campuses.
Yeah. So yeah,
Which
it's not about celibacy, not at all. Go out
is,
and meet some girls and have a good time.
or
Just
guys, if that's your flavor, or both, if that's your flavor, I
yeah.
really don't give a shit. I think that's it's an issue in modern age. I guess it's an issue with humans in general, where we project our own issues and our own past experiences on other people. So if somebody has a bad experience with somebody that's MGTOW or somebody that's an MRA, they immediately assume that everybody is just like anybody that falls in either of those two umbrellas, or maybe they fall under both. But regardless, my point still stands either way. That they view that entire group as being equal to that one person that they had a bad experience with, which is not the case.
Poppy, my man's home. He brought me bubble wrap to pop. Simple pleasures, man. It's all about simple pleasures.
Tiny things in life.
Phone man just decided not to go to work for a week. Society would collapse, and he would beg for men to get back to work. Yeah, I saw a video today. I don't know who did it. I think it was No Bullshit. Did a video today about how black inventors are being their inventions are being ignored. I think it came from BuzzFeed, the original video, which surprise, surprise. And he debugged it, and they were saying like that black men invented the light bulb.
No,
No,
not
he
accurate.
didn't. Yeah, but he did invent a coating that can be used on the filament of a light bulb to extend its life.
See, now
It's no longer used today because we found it something even better than that.
Yeah,
But BuzzFeed was like, well, black men invented the light bulb. No, 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 no. Black men invented the stoplight. No, no, no. What happened was a white man invented the stoplight, and a black man patented it. Patented it. I can't
patented.
um, when they changed from a 2-light system to a 3-light system, the yellow light was included. A black man filed for the patent on that configuration. He didn't invent it. He didn't design it. He just filed for the patent for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not inventing it.
So the question here is: did they just not do their homework, which would be willful?
No, they intentionally misled. It's BuzzFeed.
Or did they lie? Or did they lie about it?
They intentionally lied. They intentionally lied. It's BuzzFeed.
Fair enough. That should have been self-explanatory from the start.
Yeah, they're pushing their narrative. That all white people are evil. So, and if they can get white people to say it, so much the better.
We got Excalibur asking another question. He goes, I have another question. If it's so dangerous because of the SJW culture, why would you risk going to jail through relationships? She could accuse you and you'd be gone.
Very much true. Very much true. Every man faces that every day, regardless of what their relationship is. If you so much as see or are in a certain general area of a woman, all she has to do is fall down and then scream rape and point at you. You're going to jail, pal.
And they're immediately going to assume that she's not lying, which obviously in this case you would be.
Listen and believe.
Before an SJW clips this out and calls me some kind of woman-hating rape apologist, I am in no way, shape, or form saying like, I think rape is fucking disgusting. A and B, it's called due process. Look it up.
Yeah.
MRA, douchebag. That's how you not spell that correctly at all.
That's a German way to spell it.
Oh, is that so?
It's a bag.
Actually, I'm not an MRA either, so not. But I think you're not an MRA yourself either, so I don't know where he's getting that from. But
Skeptical is a MGTOW. He's got his avatar as the MGTOW signal. A road with a line going off to the side.
I've seen that before. This man was arrested for 70 days in Scotland for stair rape. I read that. That was fucking. I had to like walk away from my computer because I was like, nope, too much internet for me today.
Arrested for 70 days for stair rape. So he stared at somebody for a period of time and they arrested him?
He was he was looking in through a window of a store. I'm not sure if it was like a convenience store or something like that, but it was a shop. and he was, the woman thought he was staring at her, and she got unnerved and called the police, and that was the official report was staring creepily.
Wow, that's not subjective.
Oh yeah, not at all. Nope, it's like hate speech laws. That's not subjective at all.
Yeah, bad hammer. I'm a bad MGTOW for talking to the Waymans.
Whammon. I respect the whammon.
I do more than talk.
I believe in female birth control. Every time I get one pregnant, I just push them down the steps.
Oh,
What? Don't even start on dead baby jokes.
oh. You and Snubberth have to get together. You guys would be awesome together.
Oh, what was that? Snubbers?
There's a guy in Lords of the Night. His name is Snubberth, and he does a lot of super chatting, really bad, horrible, terrible jokes, and I think you two would get along really well.
I love dark humor.
Oh man,
Of course.
he's something.
Now, to everybody that knows me from the chat, and those of you that are new will probably have the wherewithal to understand that obviously I was fucking joking.
There's a good question in chat. Poppy and Max are talking about. If a woman takes a swing at you, what happens at that point? What should happen and what does happen?
Are you are you directing that at me?
Yeah, and chat. Yeah, everybody can get involved.
If a woman wants to act like a man, I'm going to treat her like a man. You swing at me, I'm going to swing back. I might not hit you with everything that I got, but I'm not going to not defend myself. That's what it is.
I would feel justified in swinging back, but I probably wouldn't. Both my girls are fairly small, and I'm 6'3", 225.
So not a small guy by any means.
And I've got some MMA background, and I learned how to box. So I know very much how to defend myself. And although I haven't had any martial arts training, but yeah, I would certainly block and grab and hold and guide them to the ground and sit on them, kind of thing. But I wouldn't swing back. I'm afraid I'd hurt them. I mean, seriously hurt them.
On that note, though, while I did say that, and I still do believe that is the case for me. Though when I got knifed by my ex, I did not do anything physical in retaliation.
Yeah,
I left the house.
Did you call the police?
Left, but yeah. What's that? No, I didn't call the police. The police never got involved in that. But there was
the police.
I had my thought process at the time was I didn't want her to hurt herself and to say that I didn't have to deal with that whole fucking deal. But yeah, I do understand where you're coming from too, considering assault with a deadly weapon, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Poppy made a point in chat. She says, but you should call the police so you don't go to jail. And I see that a lot, but that's really not true. If a woman takes a swat at you and you call the police, you're going to jail.
Yeah, they immediately the first thing that they do, and it's one of my buddies is a police officer, and he was talking this like offhandedly about it because it came up in conversation. But like when he was going through his training, like in domestic abuse, you don't necessarily automatically assume that the guy is guilty, but what you do is the point is to separate the two parties that are involved. So they go after they remove the male from the equation. You're not supposed to assume that the guy is guilty, but most people will do it out of habit.
Sure. Really, if you're of equal size kind of deal where you don't have the advantage like I would say go ahead and swing back because you're going to jail either way. It really doesn't matter. At least swinging back, she knows next time when she takes a shot at you that she's going to get some. So she'll think twice.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes both ways. If you're a woman and your man takes a swat at you, hit the fuck back. Hit him to hurt him. Learn how to box. Learn what an overhand right really is and how it works.
Exactly. Now with that, of course,
time he's not going to hit you because he's
of course. With that being said, this is only a matter of self-defense. We're not saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't start a fight. Don't do that.
I was about ready to say because there are going to be certain groups of people that would say, "Oh, you advocate for abusing women." I was like, "No, I advocate for people to be able to defend themselves."
Exactly, which is why I'm a big fan of the Second Amendment. It's all about defending yourself.
When defending our First Amendment rights.
and MGTOW, defending yourself. It's all about self-defense.
You go all about covering your balls.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Burr, again, I'm going to go back to Bill Burr. He talks about how he got in a fight with his girl, and she came in with a right, and he grabbed that, and then she came in with the left and grabbed that, and the first thing he did after he grabbed the right and the left was he turned sideways. Because you know what's next. If both hands are occupied, she's going to go for a leg, and if she's going for a leg, you know where her target is going to be.
Oh, yeah, right in the family jewels.
Yep.
Women demand more rights. Welcome to the gynocracy. To be fair, I'm going to make a statement here that might be somewhat
controversial.
Yeah, controversial. Okay. For. Women have been running men for probably since the dawn of mankind, and probably even before that, because men are biologically and genetically predispositioned to want to be with a woman, and therefore given to the woman's demands to get in her pants. We think with our head the little head rather than the big head when it comes to boobies.
Yeah, I mean, it's built into us from when we were just coming out of this stage of being apes, is to protect the thing that's going to allow you to procreate.
Yeah, they defend the survival of the species.
Keep the woman safe. So if she says to you, you know, I want this, and your Neanderthal brain saying she needs this to be protected, therefore I will do it for her.
Mm-hmm. Which am I saying? Am I saying that every man out there right now is being controlled in some way, shape, or form by a woman? No, I'm just saying it's a predisposition that exists. Just because it's there doesn't mean that you have to adhere to it.
It's important to take the knowledge, the information that you're being given, and analyze it, decide exactly where it's coming from, why it's coming. You know, is she just saying something to try to manipulate? Is she trying to say something that's honest and that's a requirement? You know, you have to kind of take some time and think about what they're saying. And I always, well, not always, but I often get the response. Did you hear what I just said? She'll say something. Yeah. You hear what I just said? I said, yes, and I'm considering what you just said. You know, so she says, I want to do this. And I don't say anything. Did you hear me? Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah, well, I heard you thinking about it.
I'm considering it. And when I'm done considering it, I'll make a decision on what we're going to do. I'm very much an alpha. If you haven't gotten that already, I'm very much an alpha when it comes to relationships. So
yeah, it's for
I don't get pushed around at all.
No, I mean, obviously, you know, in a lot of men do fall into that. Unfortunately, though, me, it's never going to be an issue because I'm not the relationship type. So I just do whatever the fuck I want anyway. The women that I know of, the relationship doesn't go out of the bedroom. So we're here. I'm naked. You're naked. Let's plow. Let's get this done and over with. All right. I'll see you next week. It's a very simplistic, very animalistic thing to do, but hey, I don't deal with the complications of having to deal with a woman on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's nothing against women, because I don't like dealing with people on a regular basis in general. But that's just me.
Almost 90% of women in the UK aren't feminists, so there is some truth in that. Yeah, Milo talks about this. Milo Yiannopoulos talks about this all the time. In the UK, 7% of women say they are feminists, only 7%. And it's like 12% in the States. So there's not a lot of people who are willing to say that they are feminists. It's just the ones that are willing to say you can't shut them up. They're just indoctrinated. So
they start talking and their mouths don't stop moving.
The mouth moves, but the brain's not engaged. That's probably a little too.
Well, you know what they say. The reason why women never fart is because they never close their mouths long enough to build up pressure.
Yeah, see, Poppy just said exactly the same thing I just said. It's a very small percentage of women who are feminists are just very loud percentage. Yeah. Well, I have 7:38 p.m. How long would you want to go with this?
Oh, it's personally, it's up to you. I mean, we can end it now if you got stuff that you want to do or anything like that. I don't have anything else going on tonight, so it's whenever works for you.
Yeah, let me get a couple more questions and then get out of here, I guess. if anybody
Seems
has
fair.
anything else. I'm really
Yeah,
interested in
chat.
hearing. Yeah, I'm really interested in hearing people from your side try to poke holes and ask questions and that and learn.
I think a majority of the people that follow me on a regular basis, they're not that. I don't know anyone. Well, I have an experience. I guess you can kind of say he's a MGTOW, but some of them, they're just like they understand it. And it's like, yeah, the radical ones, they leave a bad name for the rest of the people. There's reasonable people in there. It's like even feminists. I pick on feminism all the time. I know a few feminists that are reasonable. Like, am I saying that I agree with them? No, no. But just because I disagree with somebody doesn't mean you had to be an asshole about it.
Yeah. Well, I going back to the Lords of the Night. I know I'm kind of plugging them by talking about them so often, but I
Feel
enjoy
free.
this. I enjoy the stream a lot, and I had asked Ranting Monkey. I said, I've been trying to get a hold of a feminist just to have a dialogue with him. I said, do you have any suggestions? Because I asked a couple of people, and he said, talk to Ranting Feminist. He says she's the one that he's been able to have a conversation with. They kind of like really poke holes at each other all the time. They don't really have, I watch when they interact, and it's more like, fuck you, no, fuck you kind of deal, kind of like, shit posting to each other more than anything else. But I've been able to get a little bit of a dialogue going with her. And I told her, is there anyone besides you that you think I could actually have a conversation with? And she pointed to ContraPoints. So I haven't made an attempt to do anything but except just follow ContraPoints. I'm just following her. Gonna wait for a while and let the following and learn more about her, and then I'm gonna try to, because I think it's important. Well, I think the very first or second video that I ever did on my channel, not like I do a lot of videos, but the first or second one I did was about echo chambers. I feel very strongly about avoiding that. Talk to the other side. Talk to all sides. Don't just say, well, that person's, a tranny, I'm not going to talk to them. That person's a white supremacist, so I'm not going to talk to them. You can disagree with everything that they say and be dead set against them, but that don't stop the conversation, because there's always a chance that you're going to learn something, or they are, and that makes the conversation worth having. So that's my next little project, is to try to see if I can get a conversation going with ContraPoints. And I would say, if you're a person out there who is definitely on the anti side, take some time, find somebody, if it's Ranting Feminist or whoever you find that's willing to engage, that's just not going to be shoving their dogma down your throat. You can actually have a conversation with it. Do it. You'll learn stuff.
I
For as
have
much, okay.
I have a feminist that I follow, and she follows me back. Now we disagree on probably literally just about everything, but I'd like to, if you're interested, I'd like to have her on with you. I think it'd be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, if you could send her my Twitter handle and tell her that, I'm looking to engage with people who are on all sides of a lot of issues. So
Yeah,
I'd like
well,
to get a conversation going with her. And you can do that. We'll do that offline. We don't need to broadcast that.
yeah, I'll do it after the stream. Newly Awakened asks, why do you think there are so many misogynists who gravitate to MGTOW and give it a bad name? Well, I guess I'm just gonna say you can't really control who comes to your side, but I'm gonna let you answer your own manner now.
I think people react emotionally when they get hurt. They look for a way of taking it out, and they see MGTOW's way of doing that. So, if someone gets too emotionally attached and too emotionally dependent on the other person, where they lose a part of their own identity, and then that is removed, then that will put them in a position where they're looking for a way to relieve that. And that's what MGTOW women haters can do for you. They allow you to get out the anger you have from having that happen to you. So it's unfortunate, but I don't know if you can ever really stop it. The only way you can really do anything is to try to get in someone's ear before it happens.
Yeah, and realistically, the only way I know how to get out angry is jerk off angrily with a sandpaper with a chainsaw. Man, wait a minute, what? Sex jokes. That's how I started this channel, and that's how it's going to die.
You
Actually,
gotta,
it's not really. What's
You
that?
you gotta know that if the person starts mentioning phrases, be careful. If you start hearing stuff like carousel and shit like that, that's the kind
Yeah.
of person you want to stay away from.
I was just about ready to say what you said. YouTube and cow channels that come across seem cult like to me. They just talk about cock carousels and shit. Seemingly, they aren't all like this though, which you just are pretty much already answered. That was not, well, it wasn't really a question. It was more of a statement.
Hmm.
Routinely referring to women as cum dumpsters is okay. I prefer cock jugglers.
Yeah, those are more of the phrases that you hear a lot. The YouTube MGTOW channels I've come across seem cult-like. They just talk about cock carousels and shit. Seemingly they aren't all like this too. If you have an example of a MGTOW channel that isn't a woman hater type of channel, feel free to hit me up on Twitter at the One Ton Hammer, all one word,
Yeah,
and
don't do.
and drop me a line because I like to check them out, engage their host, and find out where his mind is or her mind is. Could be a girl.
Yeah, don't do what I did earlier and try to type in the 10-ton hammer because it's like, huh, where the hell is he? I go into my direct messages. I'm like, oh, that's why I'm a fucking retard.
just one ton, not 10.
Yep, I made them. I don't know why I was thinking 10. I think it's because you have the in front of your name, and the way I remembered, I was like, oh, the 10-ton hammer. Okay.
Yeah,
No, wrong.
there was a website back in the day that was dedicated to Quake, the online first-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
That was called 10-Ton Hammer. So it was a very popular website at one time. I think it's still out there.
It's a good game. Still is, obviously, but
Boobs are awesome. I play champions regularly.
yeah, my game playing has gone way downhill time wise. I got fucking work and other shit I'm getting caught up in. Like, I'm not a high schooler with all the free time after fucking school ends to play video games, but I still do.
The good one go their own way, not attention whores shilling in the name of.
Rage Against the Machine reference.
I think what he's trying to say is that if a MGTOW is broadcasting, they're not really a MGTOW, and I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I mean, the reason I'm here is to try to explain. I don't make it a point to hold meetings. That's against the whole idea.
You're not gonna hold an annual
No dues.
MGTOW meeting.
Nope.
We have coffee, muffins, and heroin. No, just kidding. We don't have the muffins. I hate fire. It's let's see now. Max France, the fucking smartass, says you spelled ton wrong. You spelled ton the British way. No, we don't spell it like you dirty Brits do.
Color does not have the letter U in it. Sorry.
No, it does not. Neither does armor. What do you think? You guys think you're fucking French or something, putting U's in places they don't belong.
I feel bad, Deca. We're winding down here, Chief.
Yeah, he came in a really bad time, but just about the end of this.
You can always rewind the video and play it back when we're done.
Yeah, it's true. You can't do that. It's one of those things I find interesting about these live streams now that I've started doing them on a regular basis. Sometimes I get some strange fucking people in my chat. Like I think after I did my video on Amos Yee and his old pedophilia thing, I think I had like 3 or 4. I had 3 or 4 pedophiles show up. I'm assuming if not pedophiles, people that think there's nothing wrong with it, but regardless, I had them show up in the chat and ask me what I had against them, and I was like on the stream, I was like, I'm not going to go into every single detail of every single corner of the reason why I find it wrong. It's wrong. I think it's disgusting. There, it's done. Max Francis, you can't use the English language correctly, and you Brits can't use your freedom of speech correctly. So
we don't speak English. We speak American.
We speak American. Beer, guns, freedom. In that order.
Well, I think we're not getting any more questions, so we should probably wrap it up here. I'm done if you are.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover. Like I said, this is never going to be a debate from the beginning. So, and in case you haven't noticed, if you're watching this in the future, it does not say debate in the title, because this was not intended to ever be a debate. I already knew full well exactly what was not full well what was going to happen, but a good idea of what was going to be said. The only thing really left now is, do you have any YouTube or anything like that you want me to link in the chats?
I don't really make any videos anymore. I'm on the live stream with the minions. So the Minions of the Zoo is where you can probably really get a hold of me. And of course, I'm on Twitter at the One Ton Hammer.
That's all one word, by the way, no separation. All one word and all lowercase. Not 10-ton hammer. Not 10-ton hammer.
No. Just one.
Let's see your Lucid D. Lucid Dick. I like it. He says you could interview Stardusk. I don't know if he's talking to me or you, but either way, I'll if he has a Twitter, send me the Twitter handle and I'll get a hold of him and see what's what.
Yep.
But I think that pretty much settles it. So to everybody out there in the chat that's still hanging around, stayed steady above 10 viewers for the majority of this once it got going. So it's been an interesting conversation.
Like absolutely. I really enjoyed myself.
It's good to know. It's good to know. I try to keep things civil and try to give something for everybody to listen to. And at the end of the day, after all, I try to be funny.
I think Poppy wants me to plug our Discord server. I think that's what she's asking me.
Women fucking demanding all the goddamn time.
She's asking. She knows me.
You want your Discord? You want the Discord? You want the Discord plugged in my chat? Yeah, I better see some nudes first. No, I'm fucking joking. You can go right on ahead. I don't give a damn.
We have an unsafe for work area, absolutely. Yeah, the Minions Zoo. I'll get the link so you can put it in the description.
Oh boy. All right, Lucid D says check YouTube. Will do. But with that said, I think that pretty much does it for this stream. And you can just DM me. You can DM me the link, and I'll change it once I shut the stream down. I don't fucks up the stream sometimes if I try switching shit out during the middle of it. But
no problem. Thanks for having me on the channel. I appreciate the opportunity.
Anytime. So all those out in the chat, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, and/or night, and I'll see you, glorious cunts. Well, I don't know if Ray's going to be doing anything Friday, so we'll see. But if not, I will be on her channel to debate. Cal Reaction E is going to be. So I think the end result is either alt-right versus libertarianism or civic nationalism versus ethno-nationalism. So tune in for that. It's going to be fun. But have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and or evening. Good night, you fucking cunts.